Hello, YouTube. You're here with us now. We had a little trouble getting you here, but you're here. Welcome to Wednesday Weekly. I, of course, am Drew Detzner. I'm the owner of 3D Wellness, and I'm here to answer your questions. We're doing Ask Me Anything. Now, earlier, Lori, correct me if I'm wrong, we had somebody call in with a question?
Yes, we did.
Cool. What was the question?
Well, Christy, the question coming from Christy.
Okay.
She wants to know your thoughts on high oxalate foods.
Oh, okay, so we should talk about oxalates. All right, so we're going to talk about oxalates. There's something that's called oxalic acid, and that term, or these terms, oxalate and oxalic acid, are used pretty much interchangeably. So what I'll do is I'll go over oxalates, give you some info on them, and then talk about when they can be an issue and when they aren't an issue. Okay. First thing you should know about oxalates is they are an organic compound. What does that mean? It means that it's a naturally occurring thing. Okay, your body can actually make oxalates. So this is one of those things often when people are talking about oxalates or foods that are rich in oxalates, what I hear again and again is this concern of, I don't want any of those going into my body. And my response is, that's going to be pretty tricky because your body can make oxalates. Okay? They naturally occur in a lot of different types of produce, but especially your leafy veg, like spinach, lettuce, Swiss chard, that kind of stuff. But you can also get them from vitamin C. Your body can convert vitamin C into oxalates. So it would be quite foolish and very difficult to do to say, oh, I'm just going to avoid oxalates altogether, considering they can be made out of vitamin C, vegetables, and your body can make them. It's going to be really difficult to totally avoid oxalates. Things we should know about them. They can bind to minerals. They are more likely to do so when fiber is present. Okay. So if you're eating something that has oxalates in it and minerals and a bunch of fiber, so imagine this, imagine you are eating a pound of spinach in your spinach salad. That's going to be plenty of fiber, plenty of oxalates, and plenty of calcium, being the mineral in that. But a pound of spinach is an awful lot of spinach to eat in a salad. So it's very unlikely you're going to run into that too often. But they are more likely to bind to minerals in the presence of fiber. They especially like to bind to calcium and to iron. I'm trying to think of what else I should tell you about them. So there's a concern for people who are predisposed to kidney stones that when oxalates bind to calcium, that they can form kidney stones. That's a real concern. I'm going to talk a little bit about that and what we do to help minimize the likelihood of that. So over here, I'm going to write down kidney stones just so I remember to come over to it. Kidney stones. Okay. All right, they're an organic compound. Your body can make them. They naturally occur in leafy vegetables. They can be made out of vitamin C. They bind to minerals, especially calcium and iron. They're more likely to do so in fiber. Yeah, so the big concern is that they're binding to minerals. So I want to speak a little bit about that by talking about the kidney stone concern. So if an oxalate, here I'm going to write it down as ox. Man, somebody who really likes me bought me all these different color markers so I can do stuff like this. Sure wish I could thank her. She should have a cool nickname too. All right. Oxalate bumps into a mineral. The concern is that they will get bound to each other and then form calcium oxalate, which if enough of those stacked up on each other, then we could form a kidney stone. Okay. It's not a guarantee that if an oxalate bumps into calcium that they're going to bind to each other. That's not guaranteed. One of the things that we can do to help minimize the likelihood of this is we can be pro-acid. Now, often in natural health communities, you hear again and again, no, 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 you don't want to be acidic. It's bad for you. You want to alkalinize your body. Alkaline is better. It's not true, okay? That's an oversimplification. There are parts of your body that you want acidic. For example, your stomach. Number one product from your stomach is stomach acid. We want acid to be acidic, okay? So what can we do to help minimize the likelihood of kidney stones? We can be pro-acid at the stomach and at the bladder. We can also do this at the kidneys. Okay. A couple of ways to do that. You've probably heard of apple cider vinegar. That's one way that you can be more pro-acid. Another thing that I really like to do supplement-wise from Standard Process that's pro-acid. It's funny that you were just talking about this supplement too, Boots. Cal-Ammo. Cal-Ammo, a really healthy way to acidify the parts of the body that should be acidic. It's also one of the most important tools in my toolbox for anybody with a frozen joint. Have you ever heard of people having a frozen shoulder? They lift up their arm and it gets to there and then it just doesn't move. Well, you can have a frozen hip or a frozen knee, et cetera, et cetera. Cal-Ammo is totally wonderful for that. So, do I have big concerns about oxalates? Only if the person has a history of being prone to kidney stones and we haven't had the opportunity to do things that would be pro-acid in the areas that are most likely to be affected by the presence of oxalates. The other thing I'll encourage you to do is keep in mind that our leafy vegetables are not high fiber naturally. So you have to eat an extraordinary volume of them to really promote the binding of oxalates to different minerals. Another thing you can do to help decrease the likelihood. Oh, sorry, markers. Cook your veg. To decrease. So if you're going to have spinach, have it with your eggs and bacon in the morning and cook the spinach in the bacon fat or the butter used to cook the eggs. In doing so, you're decreasing the likelihood that those minerals will bind up because the presence of the oxalates. I know Christy wasn't able to join us live. Really hope that answered the question for you. Did any questions roll in from that?
No, we have a lot of people tuning in, which is great.
Right on.
Thank you so much. Since no one's asked you a question, I have another one from
Oh,
Christy.
okay.
So we might as well do that one right away.
Yeah, let's do it.
The other question had to do with, you know how we do the hair analysis
Yes.
here as a test. On that, we learn about different oxidizing types.
Yes.
And so she specifically, depending on what kind of oxidizing type you are, she would like to know if that kind of person wants to drink an alcoholic beverage, are there certain types of alcohol that flow better with certain types of oxidizers?
Awesome question, Christy.
Yeah.
I don't think I've ever been asked the booze question in relation to oxidation rate.
Yeah.
Cool. All right, so let's talk oxidation rate. This is such a good question. Cool. Okay, so I'm going to bring everybody up to speed like I always do. I want you to understand oxidation rate before I talk about the way that alcohol can influence different oxidation rate or oxidation types. Okay, oxidation rate refers to the speed your body converts food to fuel. Okay. So you eat something like an apple or a steak or a carrot. How long before that food is turned into fuel? Now, this is an important differentiation I'm going to make. This is not your metabolism. Your metabolism, the rate at which fuel is burned. So I hope you understand this important difference. The oxidation rate is talking about the food getting turned into fuel. Because what we eat, the apple, the steak, the carrot, is not already fuel. Our body has to process that and change it into fuel. Once that process is done, that is where our metabolism comes in, because that tells us how fast that fuel we just created gets used up or gets burned off. So this is an important thing to differentiate. Okay? So, as you could imagine, there are slow oxidizers. Their oxidation rate is slow. Their body slowly converts food to fuel. They do well on low fat, high carb. I can't tell you how many slow oxidizers I meet who are trying to lose weight by doing low carb, and the scale isn't budging. And it's because they're a slow oxidizer and their body needs those carbs to actually kick in the oxidation rate and change the food to fuel faster so their metabolism can be fueled correctly. And I know that sounds crazy. Just do a hair analysis, look at your oxidation rate. If you've been doing low carb and not losing body fat, you're probably a slow oxidizer. I've seen it more times than I can count. Then there is a fast oxidizer. Okay. These people do very well high fat, low carb. These are the people who have probably tried something like a keto type diet, lots of fat and protein, not a lot of carbohydrates, or maybe an Atkins style diet, which is almost no carb whatsoever, and love it. Well, their body is converting food to fuel really quickly, and a diet that's built around fat and protein is going to digest more slowly and kind of temper or maintain control over that oxidation rate so it doesn't burn too fast to the point where you would lose muscle mass. And then there is a mixed oxidation type, and they do well being balanced. So what does that mean? That means equal calories from fat, carbs, and protein. So balanced across the three of them calorically. A mixed oxidizer's body is actually shifting back and forth between slow and fast. And it's darn near impossible to know exactly when you're in fast or when you're in slow. So what's better is to just keep some neutrality or a balanced eating style so that you're never going to an extreme. Because if you did high fat when you're a slow oxidizer, that would be bad. Your body wouldn't like that. Just like if you did low fat when you were in a fast oxidation mode, your body wouldn't like that. So instead, we just go for balanced when a person is a mixed oxidizer. If you want to understand this better, get a hair analysis done with me. Because I sit down with you after every hair analysis, whether it's your first or your 15th or whatever, and I'll go over things like your personal oxidation rate and what foods we should be emphasizing you to eat. Now for the big question, the booze. So, slow oxidizer does better low fat, high carb, so no rich cocktails. I'm going to say don't get a Bloody Mary, because if you live in Wisconsin, your Bloody Mary comes with a beef stick and some cheese curds and fat. And that's going to slow down your oxidation rate further. Okay. This person is going to do better with like a sweet cocktail, so like a margarita, because that's going to have more carbs in it. And their oxidation rate is going to like the presence of the carbs. So the sweet drink, I'll put margarita on here to give you an idea. Okay. The fast oxidizer, their body likes fat, so if there's any cocktails that get mixed with something, I'm forgetting the name of the cocktail, but it comes with an egg yolk in it.
Eggnog.
Well, a spiked eggnog is a perfect. Thank you, Two Boots. Spiked eggnog is a perfect example because it's high fat. So we want rich, or we want what's called neat in the alcohol world, which just means not mixed with anything, just straight up.
Like Irish cream or something?
An Irish cream would have some fat in it, so that would be another example. Okay. So either we're finding something that has high fat, or we're drinking a cocktail that is low carb. Okay. So either something rich like an Irish cream or spiked eggnog, or we're doing it neat or on the rocks. On the rocks. Because we want to make sure we're keeping the carb low. If you're a fast oxidizer, you don't ever want to have a margarita, because there's so many carbohydrates in a margarita compared to if you just took a shot of tequila, or if you had a shot of tequila mixed with a club soda. I hope that makes sense. Your mixed oxidizers do well with that balanced thing. So mixed oxidizers would probably do well with something like a beer that isn't super heavy. Oh, I'm sorry. Lori's trying to distract me. She was double fisting. She was like, sip a marg, spiked eggnog. And I'm like, oh, no. So, because they do really well with balanced. I wouldn't have them drink a margarita. That would be too sweet. I wouldn't have them drink a spiked eggnog. That would be too rich. These people would probably do well with things like beer, like moderate beers, not your barley aged in a wine barrel, 11 proof, thin paint microbrew, but just like pale ale beers, that kind of thing. They're probably going to do really well with those, like very neutral beers, not heavy, not light. That's what they would do best with.
Where would a wine fit?
Wine's going to fall under the carbs because it's the alcohol plus grape juice.
Right.
So that's going to be something that a slow oxidizer is going to tolerate better than a fast oxidizer. And now I'm super curious. Now I want to get a group of my fast oxidizers and my slow oxidizers and my mixed, and have a wine night and just see how everybody does with it. And then 2 weeks later, have a beer night and see how everybody does with it, et cetera, et cetera. I want to say, leave a comment if you're interested, but I'm worried about the comment section crashing from all the comments. So, Christy, to answer your question, here's an explanation on oxidation rate. There's 3 types. Oxidation rate is different than metabolism, and the different types benefit on different eating styles. So I would have the type of alcohol mimic or get as close as possible to the eating style for that oxidation type. That sound good?
I think it covers everything.
Cool.
Sure, Christy will let us know if she has more questions on that. I have a new question here from Sharon.
Oh, cool.
Her question is this. She says, my knees are doing well after 1 year of supplements and exercise.
Good.
What is the best way to maintain?
Ooh, yes. The maintenance question. So maintenance. is often overlooked, so I'm very appreciative of the question, Sharon. It should be something similar to what fixed the problem. So in many different modalities of healthcare, you start off seeing a provider more frequently when you first start to work on a problem, and then the visits become less and less frequent. So one thing that really messes with maintenance is if you stop care. So I'm going to put down avoid stopping care. That is probably the number one thing that I see that derails maintenance, or a problem is fixed and keeping it fixed is when somebody stops care. They go, well, it's been good for so long. I didn't think I needed to do fill in the blank thing. And many aspects of a person's life can start to go off the rails, which can lead them back to some symptoms. So I'm going to give some comparisons of what I personally do with clients for maintenance so you can understand this idea a little bit better. So at the start of a program, so let's do start. And then we'll do maintenance. So we'll do visits. So the start of a program with me, I'm usually seeing clients every 2 weeks. That's because their body is about to undertake this process of resolving some issues, taking some supplements, probably eating different foods, maybe different exercise or physical activity, different levels of water intake. Things are changing. So I want to see that person pretty consistently so that they feel supported. And so as things change, they can ask questions, get answers, feel like they understand what's happening within their body. For maintenance, I might see a person every 13 weeks. That means quarterly. That means 4 times a year. When they started, it was twice a month. Now it might be 4 times a year. But that still gives us the opportunity to do a couple of things. One is checking on their program. Is it still suiting their body's needs? Because these bodies are in a constant state of flux. It also allows us to keep up on doing their hair analysis or their omega-3 testing or maybe some gut testing so that we can get that lab work done regularly and never be behind a health challenge. We can stay in front of a health challenge. Supplements. At the start of a program with me, I really like people to just be on 4 to 5 supplements. But that might mean that total pills per day, that can be like 12 to 20 pills a day. Which can feel like a lot. But that's at the start of a program. Their ship is off course. We got to get it back on course. So it takes more work to do that. To maintain, clients are usually on 2 to 4 different supplements and a total of something like 8 to 10 pills a day, sometimes less. But I always like to be realistic. So, I'm sorry, sweetheart. We got Zoe here. We got the mascot here. So the supplements, we start more aggressive because we have to course correct. But then to maintain, once we have corrected the course, it takes much less supplements to do that. So the first thing that I think of with just the visits and the supplements is that we're spending less time and less money, but we're still spending time and money. It's not abandoning something. It's not stopping. It's just spending less time and spending less money. And then foods. So we're probably adding anywhere from 4 to 10 different foods at the start of a program. I'm looking at a client's hair analysis. I'm seeing certain deficiencies. And I'm saying, I'm not going to give you a supplement for every single deficiency you have on a hair analysis. Instead, I'd really like to have you eat a lot of foods that could help us correct those deficiencies. For example, a lot of different seafoods help us correct things like zinc levels in the body. eating bone broth regularly, or switching from boneless chicken wings to bone-in chicken wings can help us correct a manganese deficiency. Switching from strawberries to blueberries can help us correct a manganese deficiency. I'm adding these foods. I didn't say stop eating strawberries. I said have some blueberries with your strawberries. Maintenance phase, we're probably only adding in 1 to 2 foods at each visit. And that's based on the lab work, right? I said we're going to repeat the hair analysis. We're going to do the omega-3 testing maybe. We might be doing some gut biome testing. We're going to check in, but again, we've course corrected at that point. So to make sure that we maintain those corrections takes less work than it did at the start of a program with your foods. So we're spending less time and less money, but we're still spending time and money. We're adding less new foods, but we're still open to the idea of adding certain foods to keep us on course. Sharon, did that answer your question? We got some good questions today. Oxalates, booze and oxidation rate. Yeah. How to keep your problems fixed.
Yes, she says.
Right on. Thank you for the question. All right, did other questions roll in? No, cool. All right, Zoe. I'm going to dork out for a second then. We have so much fun here. It's never too much fun. We've never had the police called on us, for example, or the fire brigade, just for the record. We really sincerely have fun here. We have fun when our clients are in here. We have fun when we're doing trainings with other practitioners. We have fun with the Wednesday Weekly, if that isn't totally obvious. We also have fun with our marketing. So we don't have a huge marketing budget because we're a new business, but there is a marketing budget. I couldn't help myself. I went ahead and had 3D Wellness koozies made. I had 50 of these made. Now today we saw clients, so I've already given away 7 of these, okay? But right now, these are free. I have 43 left, okay? When you come in for a consult, while supplies last, you get one of these for free. Yeah, kind of cool. And these are like the legit ones, like the cushy ones. I don't know if you can see how thick that is. This is actually cushy. But yeah, stop by. Grab a bottle of Spanish black radish like everybody needs and get a koozie. Right, you lovely humans, you know the rules. If there's no questions, call it a night. But today we covered oxalates, we covered oxidation rate in relation to alcohol, and we got to talk about maintenance, how to keep your fixed problems fixed, like Sharon's knees. I'm really glad your knees are still good, Sharon. Whenever you have questions, please reach out to us. We always want you feeling supported. And we'll be back here next Wednesday at 7 o'clock for another Wednesday Weekly where you can ask Drew anything. Have a great week.